Welcome to On the Edge with April Mahoney Brains. Here, this is the spot where the conversation is pointed, the guests are sharp, and the responses are never dull. Welcome home, Brains. There's only one requirement to hang out on the edge, is that you open your big brain and close your small mind. Did you bring your thinking caps? It's time to put them on, because the conversation starts now. Welcome to On the Edge with April Mahoney Brains. How you doing today? I hope you're doing good. We're counting on it. Today we're going to Canada. We're going to be with Trina Amiot. She is an intuitive guide with a chakra vibe. She does some of the coolest things. She is also an author, an astrologer, and a pet sitter of all things. We're going to talk about some mind-bending transformational things, astrology, coolology, how to come back into ourselves. Because as I tell you all the time, we are now in a lunar vortex. We really are. And we are traveling through this portal. And it's going to speed up. It's going to get faster and faster and faster. And are we able to keep pace? We need thought leaders like Trina that is going to help hold our hand and guide us through this. We're not going to change it, Brains. So if you think that, you're at a misnomer. But to have the awareness and the understanding. And she also does this really cool thing with spoon bending. I'm going to ask her about that. Yes. I'm asking, what is that all about? My husband saw it. He said, that's some Jedi mind trick. So we're going to go into the natural, the supernatural, and we're also going to talk about a deck of cards that she has created. She's running a promotion on. So let's welcome her to the show. How are you, Trina?
Hey, April. Hello, Brains. I'm so excited to be here. Yeah, April, when you're talking about the lunar vortex, that's really interesting because 2 days ago on July 7th, Uranus just moved into Gemini. And Uranus is big and rebellious and big changes, some of them unexpected. So I just posted a video on my YouTube channel for watching later for all your zodiac signs, but big changes are happening in the world here.
So tell us how you found yourself in this space and a little bit about you.
Okay, well, I grew up in a small town in Canada, and it was a religious town. So I grew up kind of in a Catholic environment, but I had, since I was a kid, I've been seeing ghosts and supernatural events have been happening to me when I was a kid. I thought this was normal. So, I would tell my mom and she's like, "Oh, don't say that around or whatever." Like, like it was kind of taboo to talk about these things that were happening around me and to me, so that was fine. Kind of went with the flow, so I became a power engineer and a power engineer educator at the college. I became a computer network administrator, which is very scientific. Both of these fields are super logical, scientific, kind of the opposite of the supernatural intuitive thing. But during the way, I learned a lot about, physics, and it led me into quantum physics and energy stuff. And that's why once I was pregnant with my first child at 35, I decided to fully go with the energy healing, the intuitive stuff. And that's where I am today.
Well, you are at the top of your game because people are watching you all over the planet, from your YouTube channel to your Facebook. Brains, before we get started, I have to talk about her hair. What are you feeding that hair, girl? What kind of shampoo you doing? Collagen? She has some beautiful hair. Look at that, and it's real.
Thanks. It is real. But what's funny is I used to install extensions for people when I lived in Kelowna, BC. That's a long story. But anyways, this is real hair. Um, and people ask me a lot about my hair, and I think it's because my Mars, which brings that vitality and that yang energy, my Mars is in Leo, the lion, right? I think that's why, because I was trying to figure that out myself. Why do I have such good hair? And I think that might be where it comes from.
Well, it's absolutely beautiful. But
Thank
it's
you.
not only the hair, it is the mind that is up under the hair. It's the brain. And a lot of people are going to maybe consider what we're saying hoo-hoo, witchery.
Yes.
Because again, you were brought up with a very strict religious doctrine, and you don't deal in the supernatural, you don't deal in energy, you don't deal in astrology. That is the total polar opposite than what they're teaching you in the religious document. And they're teaching you from the pulpit. But my thought, and maybe your thought as well, is that it is all interconnected, that this is energy. God is not a he or a she, it is an energy force. To get the exact nano details of it, we're going to find out in its appointed time. But what is it about astrology that causes people to really align their lives? Like uh, a friend of mine is really into it, and she says, "Oh, I need to know the exact time that you were born so that we can do your chart and we can see your rising and all that." Explain some basic things about astrology for people that are not familiar with it.
Well, astrology to me is like a blueprint. You came into this world with certain skills, certain events that are likely to happen. So it's kind of like a blueprint, really. And so for newbies, I always like to look at your sun sign, which you're used to opening the newspaper and looking for your sign, right? And then it can tell you a lot of your personality traits and your skills. So, for example, what are you? What sign are you, April? For example,
I'm
we'll just
I'm Leo.
of course you are. Well, we'll talk about so Leo, that is the sign of being on stage, right? And it's from the element of fire. So there's lots of energy behind Leo energy. And you have nice hair too, and
Because I be
you
buying
have
it. I got nice hair up under here, but I buy mine. I have 20 different personalities. But again, that's a part of the Leo too, because we are ever evolving. We're creative. We don't stay stagnant.
right, and many Leos have their own business. They're very entrepreneurial. Uh, and they like to be on stage. They like to have the attention. That's why the clothes you wear have the gold. Like, look at your shirt right now. And the glasses even look like cat eye glasses, like the Leo cat. Like, there's just a bunch of stuff that we could say. And as we get older, our sun sign that we're born with does become even more prevalent, like where we could look at. So, you know, that's just the start. That's just a little bit of the opening. Like astrology is like the wheel is the stage, the zodiac wheel,
Right, right,
and that's
right.
the stage. And then you have planets inside. So it's not just your sun sign. There's your moon and your Mars, like we talked about Jupiter, blah, blah, blah. And they're all characters in the zodiac wheel or the stage, and then how they're dressed is their zodiac sign for each planet. And that is when someone tells you, I want to read your chart, they want to look at all 12 pieces of your pie. They want to look at your home and family. They want to see your career. They want to see how you make money. They want to see your skills. They want to see your opportunities and your setbacks, because it's good to look at what holds us back and see how we can move through that and kind of repair that or fix that for a better life.
Well, who came up with this?
Actually, astrology
This
has
dates back
been,
centuries, centuries.
yeah, and there's some differing opinions about when it really started, but I think that way, way, way long ago, it first started with the sun, the raw, and then it kind of went from there. But I do follow the traditional astrology quite a bit, the traditional things. I mean, even I just think about the Bible sometimes about like the three wise men.
So we talk about biblical principles and how astrology dates back centuries. You had brought up the subject of the three wise men, the position of the moon, the stars, the sun at the birth of Jesus. So there's definitely a correlation. People have seen things in the stars. Um, they have been able to predict things that are going to happen in the future, predict the weather, um, different things based upon this lunar activity and the draw of the sun. Now we know that the sun is in the center, but we have all of these, well, the 12 planets that we know of. Okay, but there's a whole galaxy beyond that. In alignment and synchronicity, how does this alignment encourage people or dictate what they do, how they do? I'll give you an example of what I'm saying. The moon. It's a full moon and it affects me like no other. I almost feel like I should be howling. What do you think about
Well, that's interesting because in my mind, uh, I don't tell you your future, I help you create it.
that?
That's the difference between me and fortune tellers, is that I work with energy in the quantum field to help you change your life, change your reality, change your environment, because everything is energy. You start off with a molecule, then you go down to the atom, then you go down to the quarks and quarks, then you get down to the subatomic particles, and you go
Right.
down, down. What do you get? 99.9 empty space. Actually, what everything you see once you get down to the nitty gritty, it's empty space. It's just energy. And this is what quantum physics is all about.
Yes.
And you can use these things, and the astrology and the cards and things like that are really just like a map. Um, like how when people are like, oh, the cards are the devil. Well, would you say a piece of paper and a pen is a devil? Like you could use a tool, piece of paper, which cards are, as a bad thing if you wanted to, right? But really, they're just like a reflection. When you look at astrology, when you look at cards, when you look at any of the esoteric sciences, really, it's just a reflection. And it's neither bad nor good. It's just what you do with the energy.
But it's
We've been
scary.
trained. We've
It's
been
scary when you
trained.
can sit there and you have a deck of cards and you pull out three or four cards, and these cards actually tell a story. Random cards, that some, the way that they do the deck, or if you pull them yourselves, it's something that is like meant for you to know because it's laid out in front of you. And so, yeah, quantum physics. I'm really into that. Yes, brains. I'm loving it. I just tried to book a 5-day seminar with Joe Dispenza,
Oh, perfect.
but I couldn't do it because I hadn't taken the prerequisites. And you have to do that first because they say it is so heavy. You're there for 5 days, you're just exhausted after you leave because you have ascended to another level. And brains, don't think that the religious text is in contradiction. If you go through your Bible, you're going to see all of these things. You're going to hear all of these things. It's like now we're living in the book of Revelations. That is a piece of paper and a book with information. All of these things that you see are happening: the floods, the gender dysmorphia, the wars, the politics, the politicians that wear the mark on their head. All of these things is documented. So why can't you believe that these cards could also have value and documentation? Tell us a little bit about the decks that you work with.
Okay, I love to. Oh, I call them the power of eight because the eight, so the universe talks to us in numbers, right? 1 to 9, those are the base numbers. And so the eight is a power number, but sometimes with the eight on its side, you can't get out of a feedback loop and you're caught in the same life. And maybe it's not satisfactory to you. So the power of eight makes that eight stand up and rise, and rise and shine. And so the power of eight so we've got the power of eight chakra, Lenormand, because light is energy and each light runs at a certain frequency. And that means something. Okay. So when you open up the cards, you get your chakra chart to tell you what they all mean, right? For example, the heart chakra right here with the green that's in your heart, that's for love and receiving love and compassion and things like that. So you got that. And then you have your cards and they're soft touch like a dolphin skin. And then you get a color booklet as well. So this is the Lenormand deck. And Lenormand is a system in card reading that talks to you like a friend. It's like a sentence, and it's quite good for day-to-day predictions. But we chacrified the Lenormand so that you can also use the chakra healing and energy healing as well as get practical advice for your day-to-day. Would you be interested, April, for me to pull a card for you or for everyone watching? Brains?
Yeah, let's pull one for the group.
Okay, let's pull one for the group. So all you do is knock 3 times to get the energy off. Okay. And you shuffle. And what I people are always like, Trina, how do you like pick a card or whatever? What's the right way? Well, one just fell out, so I'm gonna pick that one. It happens to be a really good one, by the way. But if you were shuffling and something's just sticking out really like obvious, that's the one I would pick. You know, being from a data driven mind, I still doubt myself. I need very particular, the universe needs to tell me very specifically.
Right,
But
right. Matter of
anyways,
fact.
yeah. But the card we picked was number 16, the star, really matches the brain's community because the star runs the brain neurons. And 1 plus 6 equals 7. And you know, when you get working with me, you learn about the numbers, and 7 is about brains too, and intelligence and intellectualism. But the star in Lenormand is about your hopes and dreams, aspirations, and going for it, really. Like the Hollywood star on the floor when you walk. You know what I mean? The
Right,
the
right.
stars, the and it can also mean fame and reputation for certain folks as well. You know, for example, you, April, being a Leo, this star could be really good. It's a good time for you to be more visible and to rise in fame, you know, that kind of vibe as well. So it's good. It's good all around.
Well, that you know what, and that's important because a heightened sense of visibility. A lot of times we play small
Yeah.
and we sell ourselves short and we don't want to be seen. And it depends on how you shine your light. Don't let nobody turn your light down, brains.
Yeah.
I'm not that girl. I know yesterday, for example, I was dressed up like brand new money. Yes, I was. And I got about 6 or 7 compliments on how pretty I looked in my dress and my hat, how pretty I smelled. I was like, wow. And I hadn't said a word, but I took pride in myself. I went deep and I said, I'm going to do this not for the outside world. I'm going to do this for me. And that resonated to the world. So that can also be your star that shines, your North Star that you're headed to. Pick us one more card.
Wonderful. Okay, well, so that was from the Power of Eight Chakra Lenormand, but they come as a set with the original Power of Eight Chakra Oracle. So I'll pull one now from this one, which is very good for beginners, the pink one, because it's like a big brother, big sister, just giving you a little boost. It's a chakra boost. And you'll see what I mean here. Same thing, though. You open it up, you got your chakra chart at the very bottom of both boxes. Everything works out for me. Remember that, folks. Remember that, brains. Everything works out for me. Have that faith. So they're pink. And then we knock 3 times again and we shuffle. Okay. And we'll wait till something looks like it pops out. Ooh, my imagination runs free. I was saying 3 because it's the number 30. 3 plus 0 equals 3. Merging, blending, growth, talking, and using the mind, letting your imagination run free. And look at that full moon at the top there. Very
Wow.
intuitive. We are coming up to a full moon. Did you know? Full moon in Capricorn this tomorrow.
Oh,
Full
God.
moon in Capricorn. My imagination runs free.
Okay,
And
wait,
Capricorn.
let me stop that for 1 second. When you say that a full moon in Capricorn, what does that mean?
Yes, so the full moon this time is in Capricorn, the zodiac sign, which Capricorn loves to build things. Capricorn energy loves to um, be a boss of their own business sometimes too, or a leader in their career. Capricorn loves to work. Capricorn's a very nice fatherly energy as well. So it could be a time where we think about our passed away fathers, grandfathers, for example, and
When you
have
say that the moon is in Capricorn, so in other words, are you saying that they are in alignment, that they are in synchronicity at this point? Is this what the moon's energy is focusing on? Is this energy of the Capricorn? What does that term mean? We hear that a
okay.
lot.
Okay, well, when you go outside and you look at the sky, you'll see constellations, right?
Right.
And Capricorn is a constellation. So the moon is traveling through that constellation at that point.
Okay.
And it changes signs, it changes constellation because the moon moves really fast. Every 2.5 days, it moves into a new sign. So for this full moon on tomorrow, it'll be in the constellation of Capricorn.
Okay. Do you think that we limit ourselves by just looking at our little solar system when it is so much out there that we don't know? Have you ever traveled beyond our solar system?
Like astro travel?
Astral travel. I'm trying to think, what is the name there? I've had reptilians. Have you?
Oh yeah,
Aliens?
alien stuff. Yeah, I'm not.
Yeah.
I don't know. I
You
haven't
don't
actually
believe?
seen
You
one with
believe
my
in
own
that?
eyes yet.
You don't? Do you don't? I don't know how you could not
Do
just.
I not? No, I never said that. I
Okay.
said I've never traveled to
Okay.
another, except maybe in my mind and my imagination. But
Do you think it
you know,
exists? Let me ask you that.
do I think that aliens exist, or do I think that other planets exist? Which,
I don't like to call them aliens. That's like calling them, immigrants and all that kind of stuff.
right, right.
Alternative beings, supernatural, another energy source. Because this is what I'm feeling right now, Trina. Okay, I'm gonna give it to you 100%. I feel that civilization is metamorphosizing into the next reality. I don't think that what we currently see as humanity, when you look at artificial intelligence, again, the bodies, people want to be non-binary. They don't want to be female. They don't want to be male. They want to be whatever it is that they want to be, and they don't want to be defined. You have transgender individuals that are metamorphosizing from one thing to another. I'm not placing judgment, brains. I'm giving you information. Okay. All of these things are happening. You're seeing a lot of neurodivergency when it comes to children. This ADHD, this autism, Alzheimer's. They are in a different place in their mind. That doesn't mean that they are crazy. That doesn't mean that they're sick. That means that there's something else that is going on. Do you see that? Or is it only me seeing that?
No, I definitely think the reason that there's more, number one, we're able to diagnose people better now, whereas in the past, probably lots of people had ADHD and whatnot, and we just didn't know what to call it. We call it hyperactive disorder, maybe, or some whatever we called it. But I just feel like now we can assess people much better than we could in the past. Our technology. Speaking of technology, Pluto, it's a very powerful planet, moved into Aquarius, which is why we're for the next for the next 18, 19 years now. So that's why we're seeing a rise of the AI, the transgender, non-binary, everything Aquarius related, which has no boundaries
Right.
of that kind of stuff. So, and then the robotics and the technology and all that. I also think, though, too, that all this Wi-Fi and all this extra stuff in the air is causing people to have mental setbacks, mental
Right.
issues, and more. It's very hard for the body to deal with all this extra energy in the air too. That's why it's very important to do things for yourself, like grounding, walking barefoot in the grass, simplest way. There's a whole movie on Netflix about it, about how grounding can help cure disease and all sorts of stuff.
Right.
Just walking barefoot in the grass can be start. Shutting your Wi-Fi off at night. You know what I mean? All these things to reduce that energy load in the brain, which is not very good.
That blue light is poison, brains. That blue light, and that's it. Amazing, because Joe Dispenza was talking from YouTube right to me. He says, "Are you one of those people that wake up from 3 to 5 a.m. every day?" And I'm like, "Yeah, that's me." He says, "Don't go back to sleep. This is what you need to do." He gave 3 simple instructions. The first thing you do is you don't turn on your device. The second thing you do is learn something: podcast, read a book, meditate, you pray to God. And the third thing that you do is some exercise, something to get the body moving before you go into this blue light. Because again, it is mind altering. It is a way to keep us distracted. And people don't do it. And it's hard for me sometimes too, but I will turn it off. I will put my phone in a totally different room, go to bed. I don't want to hear any music. I don't want any lights. I put my CPAP on. Yes, I wear a CPAP. So I can get the best sleep. I want to get into that REM sleep. I want to get into that restorative place of neutrality where my body repairs itself. And I'm telling you, I wake up renewed and refreshed. And then I have a conversation with myself after I say my prayers, how I want my next day to be. I pre-program it. And so that is it. And so when you are working with a trained professional like Trina, she's going to help you develop these tools, develop these skills, not be afraid of them, but utilize them to your highest and greatest good. That's all that we have, is to ask ourselves, what is possible? How can it get any better than this? The universe wants us to have, again, our highest and greatest good. But if you don't ask for it, it's like ice cream. You see everybody eating one, but if you don't say, I want one too, you're not going to get it. So let's ask you some fun questions, because you're deep and introspective.
Hey, April, I wanted to ask you, or I wanted to say something about, I learned something from the folks at Mind Valley, which is like, the same kind of people that watch Joe Dispenza and all that. But it was about, instead of affirming, like saying, I am skinny, your body's like, no, you're not. You just had pizza yesterday. You're lying to me. So you're actually going to reverse by what I would say, like praying for it or affirmations. And that instead we want to say, why am I so skinny? Why do I have such a good relationship with my children? Why do I have such an amazing big house? Why? And what it does is it tricks your subconscious into actually getting it and achieving it. So I've been practicing with that in the quantum field lately, and it really has been working. Now, I haven't tried it with like the lottery or anything because I'm not a big, huge lottery player. However, I am a raffle player, like the smaller things that are more likely to win. And I've won a few of those. It's not a big jackpot lottery, but the little lotteries like trips and whatnot. So it could be something to practice and try, for your life.
Let me, I don't know if I should share this, but I'm going to
share it. It'll be good.
I did that. I asked the universe, how can it get any better than this, or what else is possible? I was broke as a joke. I wrote myself a check. I put the check in my purse. And I kept saying to myself, I see myself at the bank. Why is this check so big? Why do they have to call the manager over here to approve this check? Why am I planning this trip? Oh my God, I see it. I see myself getting dressed. I kept talking about this over and over again until a check manifested, not what I had wrote it for, but 9 times more than what I worked for.
Wow.
I saw myself at the bank. I was at the bank. The check was so large that it had to be approved by the bank manager. I cashed that check. I went right to the travel agent. I booked everything that I had predestined, manifested, and I asked for my highest and greatest good. But I also said, I am grateful, and how may I pay this forward? I paid it forward, and another blessing came right behind it. So brains, don't tell me what the universe, they hear it. You can also talk yourself into some drama. Oh Lord, I want a man. Okay, well, create the man by design. What is it that you truly want? Do you want someone that's going to love you? I mean, he may have bad teeth. He may have to get his teeth fixed, but that's okay. You want someone that's going to love you, that's going to nurture you, that's going to respect you. Might be a super freak. No telling what it is that you require, but created by design. If you just put it out there, no telling what you're going to get. So you have to be specific with that. So I understand that. And that was very, very powerful. I tell you, when I think about that to this day, the check was so big, I took a photocopy of it. I still got it.
Wow.
And it was from a place that I hadn't worked for in 20 years. 20 years I hadn't worked for this place. And the check was 9 times the amount that I had wrote and put it in my wallet. Yes. So don't tell me everybody wants to win the lottery. but more money, more problems. That may not be it. Sometimes you just need to get access to great things. You know, I've got friends that got a yacht. I don't need a yacht. I just need to
Exactly.
be able to get on the yacht with you. I don't need a villa in Italy. I just need to be able to go over there and you let me stay. You know, these are things too. I may just want to be happy. I just want to be at peace. I asked for to go to the beach, like you said, and ground myself. I think that is the most beautiful thing is I get there and the first thing I do is bury my feet in the sand and it takes away all of the negative ions. It is the best cleanse that you can do. And then you inhale and connect with the breath because the breath was a God's very first gift. Very first gift. What do? They take you out, thump your foot or slap your bottom, make sure that you're breathing. And then what do they say when you die? She took her very last breath. That is the source. That is definitely the source. So yeah, I get it. I'm gonna check out this Mind Valley and see what they're talking about because in the quantum physics, when he jumped out at me at I just happened to be going through it and I have not stopped doing it. Every morning I do that. Sometimes I grab the phone by mistake and then I feel guilty. I feel like I've done something wrong. But forgive yourself. Be kind to yourself. So now let's ask you some good questions. What planet do you most align with? Now I know there's a gazillion out there. I know that your sun sign, your Cancer, the Cancer moon. But what planet do you really align with?
Well, I definitely align with the moon. However, I'm starting to be friends with my Saturn. Now, a lot of people are like, Saturn, the tough. When I was young, I used to walk uphill both ways, and we have to be responsible. And money doesn't grow on trees, and you got to do this way. That's Saturn, right? Saturn is the timekeeper. He wants you to, and he can bring restrictions, which are frustrating. And I'm becoming friends with my Saturn because I am an Aquarius sun, and Aquarius people are ruled in traditional astrology by Saturn. And so I didn't realize till I started learning astrology how much Saturn really was affecting me personally, being an Aquarius person. So um, I'm starting to become friends with, but I definitely align most with the moon. But my favorite planet that I like to be buddies with is Jupiter. Jupiter's the holly jolly big yellow, brings you benevolence, brings you luck, brings you expansion and spirituality and all those things. And I love to see what Jupiter's doing and how it's affecting my chart. And yeah, so I like Jupiter,
I
but
think the rings around Jupiter because there's so many other energies that are flowing around there. You're not stagnant. So I think I align with that as well too. If you could time travel, if you could go back to the past, stay here in the present, project to the future, where would you land?
okay, well, I have a feeling like lots of times I actually think about this, and I would love to go back to the past when like in the 80s, because I was born in 1978. So I was kind of an 80s and 90s kid, right? And when computers first came out, we got to have those green little Apple computers in our classroom and learn computers, right? I would love to go back and like be able to invest in all the things I missed out on, when it comes to investing in Apple computers. And I also like the 80s and 90s music. So I would like to go back and enjoy that again. And those were really good times for me, the 80s and 90s. Like I really would like to go back and enjoy them sort of all over again, but maybe in a smarter way and set myself up for today. That's what I would like to do because I don't really have a huge interest in going to the future. I don't know why.
Oh,
I like maybe I'm
well,
caught in the past. I don't
I
know.
ask people that all the time, and you know what is disheartening is that nobody wants to be here in the present, and this is all that we have. The
Oh,
past,
yeah,
I mean, seriously, the past is
yeah.
gone, the future is not promised. All we have is the present. And I want to stay here because I want to see how we navigate through this storm. I want to see what is going on right now. I like the 80s. I like the 90s. I think that I really came into myself when I turned 60 3 years ago. I've had a great life, but I became unapologetic. There's things I don't even give a shit about. It's how I process it, how I receive it, how I deliver it, how I pay it forward, and to live my best life, whatever that is. I know that I have more years behind me than I do in front of me. Now, I'm a bit of a space cadet. I could straight go to 3,000. Me and Andre from Outcast. I could do that. I want to see how they're wearing their hair. I want to see, how they make love. Are they rubbing each other's noses? I want to see what we evolve into. What does this species look like, feel like? How does it interact? So I'm excited about that. If you were a car, Trina, what kind of car would you be?
Oh, um, what kind of car?
Yeah.
Well, I love being in a convertible car by the sea or driving by the ocean and the wind's in your hair.
Mm.
One of my colleagues, Sue Bradley, just showed me a video of her and her friend in the convertible doing that, and they just looked so cute and free and enjoying life. So that's probably what I would choose.
I'd be a 1964 VW van with the flowers painted on the side, a mattress, a hookah pipe, a fine brother with a big afro listening to some Jimi Hendrix. I would be right there. I would absolutely love that. I would love that. I'd have little VW vans all around here. I tried to get my husband to get one, and he goes, "No, I'm not getting one." I don't know why. I would really enjoy that. If you were to
I
play,
wanted to get one too. I wanted to get a VW van too and go across Canada with my sons and have fun and do readings along the way or whatever at one point. But my husband said, no, we're not trading off our Dodge Ram for a VW
I
thing.
love it.
Yeah, so I'm in the same boat.
Well, when I get one, maybe me and you will just do a caravan. Okay,
Yes,
we can
that'd be
do it.
fun.
I don't have a problem with that. If you were an appliance in the kitchen, what appliance would you be, Trina?
Ooh, an appliance. Well, I really love my George Foreman grill lately because we ran out of propane in the barbecue and it's just really good and you can it really sears and it's easy to clean and it's so fast and I love it. I super love my George Foreman grill.
Now you know what
So
I would be today.
what?
I always change. I'd be the garbage can. And I know you say, why the garbage can? Because it gets rid of the things that no longer serve you.
Ooh,
It
I
gets
like
rid of
that.
the things that are rubbish in your life. It is a place to recycle. It is a place to uh, clean up. And that's what I want to do. I want to help people clean up. I want them to recycle. I want them to repurpose. I want you to get rid of the things that no longer serve you. So, yes, today I'd be the garbage can. And in closing,
Oh, that's beautiful.
thank you. And in closing, what do you want your legacy to be? How do you want to be remembered?
I want to, well, I've thought of this a lot too because I'm a life path 3. You just add up your January, which is the first month, plus 22, plus 1978, and you reduce it. Anyways, I'm a life path 3. And 3 is all about friendliness, networking, working together with others, collaborations, the people, and stuff like that. And I want to be learned for being helping people rise into more, right? Um, and really enjoy life again and get out of any feedback loop and just really enjoy all this life has to offer because this is just one life, whether you believe in reincarnation or not, it doesn't matter because you don't remember the other lives and stuff. This is the one. So like you said about being in the present and stuff, I'm really
I don't know. I don't know because I've had past life regressions and I have had downloads where I have
Mhm.
seen and walked in a previous life. So again, it's different for everyone, but
Yep.
it was definitely eye opening and awakening. And again, everybody's not going to have that experience, but if you do, grab hold to it. It can be very valuable information to help you transition into the next portal, into the next form of civilization. Tell my brains how to get in contact with you, how to get the special, get those decks of
Yes.
cards.
Okay, well, we do have the Summer Sizzler annual Oracle card special. So you get both decks for 20 bucks plus shipping in US and Canada. Comes with a tracking number so you don't lose your set of cards. So for $20, you get the set delivered to your door and plus the shipping or whatever. So there's that, and you can come see me for a reading. I also offer courses, digital courses. I like to help spiritual entrepreneurs to grow their business or start a business and things like that. So you'll find all that stuff on my website, www.themoontree.org. O-R-G, themoontree.org. Okay.
Well, go ahead
And
and check it out, brains, because I'm telling you, you don't know what you don't know. And like she said, spiritual entrepreneurs, for some reason, you have maybe a guilt trip that because you have this special gift or that you're intuitive, that your highest and greatest good is not monetized. And that's not true. Money is energy
that's
and it is fluid and it needs to be recycled. If you live your hands like this, that means that you cannot receive nor can you give. You need to have open hands so that things are fluid, that they work in and out. You need to be able to do this so that you live in abundance. And that's what we are going to do. Right, Trina? We are going to live in abundance.
Yeah, and I like to use my finger as a pointer finger as a magic wand when I bend spoons with my mind. You make it soft enough with your mind, and then you can just twist, 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 twist. And once you bend a spoon with your mind, you realize you can bend reality in all sorts of ways.
Wait, before Trina, I saw you do the spoon bending, twisting thing, and I did not have an opportunity to go back in and watch the episode. I hope you put it on YouTube so I can go back and watch it. And I was telling my husband, I said, "Oh, my upcoming guest from Canada can bend spoons with her mind." He says, "Oh, that's some cool Jedi Jedi magic trick." Tell us a little bit about that, why you do that, and what is the purpose of that.
It's funny that your husband said Jedi because the first video I ever made on YouTube in 2017 was about spoon bending. And how did I do it? I used my magic wand or my finger, and I was like, it's like you're a Jedi making it hot in the middle and really soft and malleable like this. You know what I mean? And it's funny that he said Jedi trick because that's exactly how I was showing you how to do it. Why do we bend spoons? Well, because everything's energy, once you bend a spoon, you get past a lot of those limitation blocks of the mind and thoughts. Because now you're saying, wow, I can actually do this, right? I can actually bend a spoon with my mind. I can do a lot in my life. I have a lot more power than I was taught or trained. And you know what I mean? Like we're all very powerful as human beings with the energy that comes off our brain pretty much and our intent. It's almost sounds like magic, but we always think everything's magic until it's scientifically explained, you know. And in this one, it would be explained through quantum physics and quantum science, for example. But the purpose really is just to be able to see that everything is energy and that we can manipulate our environment, manipulate energy, which shows in turn we can do a lot in our lives. We can really develop our lives and be happy in so many ways. And that's kind of the base of it. And plus, it's just fun and cool to do with other people.
So give us an idea of how it works or what you do or where your head is at when you're doing it.
Well, when I first started, I would just take a spoon. Um, Actually, I tried it the first time with my skeptic friend back in like the early 2000s. Michelle, she was like a psychotherapist and she's very skeptical though when it comes to stuff like this. And I said, Michelle, will you just give me a moment to forget all your skepticism and bend a spoon with me with our minds? And she's like, huh? And anyways, in the end she decided, okay, I'll give this to you, Trina, 5 minutes of my time where I totally believe this is going to work. And I said, promise? She's like, yes. So that's all we needed. All you did was just, Michelle, focus on the thinnest part of the spoon. We're going to make it really hot with our minds, okay? And then I touched it. I could feel the heat, like literal heat can generate, by the way. So be careful. Don't burn yourself because this can happen. And then I just started bending and I'm like, see, Michelle. And she's just like, her jaw's just staring. What? That just happened. And so that was the first time I did it with a skeptic.
Now, does it you need to have a certain type of spoon? Should it be sterling silver, something
No,
a bit more
it's just any.
pliable?
I just pick any spoon, but my husband doesn't like when I bend spoons anymore because if you do too many, uh, everything in your silverware starts to slight bend, and then your kid will go to get ice cream, and he's like, "What's wrong with this spoon, Mom? Were you bending spoons?" And
Wow.
it's not even something I was trying. It just generate. It's like when you throw a rock in the lake and it ripples out. I feel like when you bend spoons, that energy ripples out. So, um, I try not to do it near my silverware drawer anymore. And even my rings, my husband has bent this ring back into a circle for me a million times. It never stays. It always, and it's really hard metal. And it stays in this weird, my fingers are fat and weird, but like it stays in that, like spoon bending also ripple effects on your other metal. So I had a woman on my YouTube say, "Can I bend spoons, Trina? I have a metal collar." I said, "I don't know. I wouldn't mess around. I
Right,
would,
mess around and choke yourself.
oh, I don't know. It might bend, it might hurt. I don't know.
Right.
Just don't. Yeah, because this is
But
true. This is.
what I think the core question that I'm asking is that do you have
Mhm.
to have a certain discipline, and without going into intellectual property, you're going into it too deep because I want them to work with you to actually learn how to do that. But is this something of a meditation? Is this something of a download? Is this something quantum physics? What is it? I mean, because I don't want people just to walk in there and say, oh, I can bend a spoon. It may not work for them. It takes discipline, it takes a belief system, correct?
Yeah, I think it really runs up because a lot of people comment on my YouTube that video about like some people are like, "Yay, I bent a spoon first time," and then some people are like, "It didn't work for me," and that's fine. Maybe you need another few tries, or maybe it's your belief. You don't really believe that you can do it. I do think it's a big thing about our belief systems for sure. And no, it doesn't take anybody special or intuitive or psychic to do it. Anybody has this power. It's all through the power of our mind.
Mm, mm, mm. Well, thank you so much for reminding us how strong our mind is. Friends, remember me. Go in and love, like, share, and subscribe. Raise the frequency, raise the numbers on our YouTube channel. Go in and connect with me on social media. I'm everywhere except for X and TikTok, but everywhere else you can find me. I love you. I'm sending you light, love, wisdom, encouragement, going to Canada to find the best and the brightest, to pull back the layers on some of these things that we have been taught or programmed or indoctrinated to believe that are not true, that are not valuable, that are dangerous to us. You have to make your own decisions. I get that. I understand that. But you cannot make an informed decision unless you have complete information. Thank you so much, Trina. You are the best. You're a rock star, girl.
Thanks, April, and thank you, Brains, for watching. And I hope to see you in the next one.
You will. Bye bye.
Bye.